For more insight on how the conflict could affect the region, we're joined now by Africa security and policy analyst Abdullahi Boru Halakhe. Abdullahi, thanks so much for joining us. First, I want to talk about the arsenal that the Tigray rebels appear to have. Asmara on the Ethiopian side of the border, 7,500 kilometers away. What sort of a rebel group are the Ethiopians and now the Eritreans dealing with?
I think one of the things that we need to probably make a little bit clear is that TPLF has been in government over the last 27 years. So, and then the largest, military unit, the Northern Command of the Ethiopia Defense Forces, is located in the Tigray region. So, in that regard, these are fairly well armed, well trained, if you will. Region, and and because there have been a lot of well-trained military officers who've also been discharged from the forces. So in terms of equipment, I think we should be fairly certain that this could be the work of the TPLF, the Tigray People's Liberation Forces from the Tigray region of the country.
And no doubt, if they are that well armed, that makes efforts to combat them or to de-arm them much more difficult. Talk about the potential response. We know the Ethiopian government, the Prime Minister is refusing to speak directly to the group, says this is a law enforcement matter that will be handled as such. The military, though, referring to this as a military operation. What can you tell us?
I think in terms of the bridge between the Prime Minister and TPLF, it's fairly very, very clear. The Prime Minister said there is no room for debate or discussions or, which could lead to de-escalation. Similarly, the TPLF has taken a fairly hard stance with respect to talking to Addis. That can only lead to, further conflict between the two. And the trouble is, like you've alluded to at the top, is the potential for this to not only just spill over into Eritrea, but also on the other side into Sudan. And that is the only area through which, if this conflict gets protracted, the TPLF could get their supplies, be it arms, food, and everything. So it will be very important that to keep an eye on not just Asmara, but also Khartoum. But that is not a very straightforward as it might seem, because there is a border dispute between Ethiopia and Sudan that has not been resolved. And at the same time, with respect to the Renaissance Dam, Sudan and Ethiopia also are not on the same side. So the potential for this, if it gets protracted as it looks likely, it will not only draw in Eritrea, who have got an axe to grind with TPLF, because the 1998-2000 Eritrea-Ethiopia war was launched and headed by TPLF. But also it has a potential of drawing in Sudan. Once it goes beyond Sudan, you're looking at potential of it also involving Egypt and probably the UAE and some other Gulf countries. So it is something that needs an urgent de-escalation from both sides, which doesn't look very likely at the moment. But that is what we are looking at, down the road in the next, in the near and medium term.
And there have been accusations by the Tigrayan leadership that Emirati drones based in Assab in Eritrea are being used to attack Tigray. That hasn't been confirmed, but something quite remarkable happening with Afwerki in Eritrea, working with the Ethiopians to fight a conflict within Ethiopia. But there are the people involved as well. We're hearing horrific stories from the refugees.
It is going to, one of the biggest challenges that we have, we are having all these drip and drops of information, because as it is now, the internet is down, telephone lines are down in the Tigray region. That makes it incredibly difficult. As you well know, truth is the first casualty of war. And because we do not have verifiable evidence, most of these are now things that need to be corroborated. But what we have to bear in mind, to execute its war in Yemen, UAE has a base in Assab, and that could be drawn in. But at the moment, we are not 100% sure at what stage they might be drawn in. into the conflict, but it's something that is that we need to bear in mind. But I think at the moment, information that we are getting from inside the Tigray region in Ethiopia are information that is hard to corroborate. Right now, with respect to the drone attacks, that is coming from the leadership of TPLF. So it is possible that, you know, we can't vouch for the veracity of this information, but it's not outside the realm of possibility that that could be at play here.
All right, Abdullahi Boru Halakhe, thank you so much for your insight.
Pleasure.